Hi, and welcome to another Blueprint tutorial. I'm Jenny, and I'm going to guide you through an introduction into compliance within the vet sector. We will explore who regulates the vet sector, where to find the guidelines, why we regulate, and we'll become familiar with the acronyms and jargon in the industry. We'll talk a little more about version control and then where to from here. The vet sector is a highly regulated environment. Many policy advisors and writers around the world have described vet systems as difficult to unravel, with multiple providers, private, public, school and not-for-profit, and many qualifications, all meeting the needs of a multiplicity of stakeholders and agents, both inside and outside of the system. At first sight, many national vet systems resemble a multiple car crash, with explanatory line diagrams appearing like a bowl of spaghetti. The goal of all training organisations and governments is to have a world-class, highly respected and sustainable vocational education and training sector that puts students in the centre of the training model. To achieve this, there must be compliance and regulation frameworks to ensure there are no blurry lines or misunderstanding of what's compliant and what's not. In Australia, our vet sector is nationally regulated through the National Vocational Education and Training Regulator Act 2011, most commonly referred to as the NVR Act. And in most states, we follow the VET Quality Framework, which includes the Standards for Registered Training Organisations 2015. State and federal governments work closely together with industry providers to ensure consistency across Australia. And whilst the Australian Skills Quality Authority, known as ASQA, is the national regulator, some states still play a very active and significant role in the regulatory framework. Victorian training organisations who only deliver to domestic students attending training in Victoria are regulated by the Victorian Registration and Quality Authority, known as the VRQA. Training organisations in Western Australia who only deliver to domestic students attending training in Western Australia are regulated by the Training Accreditation Council of Western Australia, known as the TAC. In Queensland, ASQA is the regulator for all registered training organisations. However, the Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority, known as the QCAA, have delegation to register and audit school RTOs. All people working within the vet sector should take the time to become familiar with the regulatory frameworks applicable to your state. In Queensland, New South Wales, the ACT, the Northern Territory and Tasmania, the frameworks are the Standards for RTOs 2015 and the Australian Qualifications Framework, the AQF. In Victoria, the frameworks are a mix of both federal and state legislation and standards, including the VRQA guidelines for vet providers, the Australian Quality Training Framework, the AQTF, the Australian Qualifications Framework, the AQF. And in Western Australia, the regulatory frameworks are a mix of federal and state legislation and standards, including the TAC Risk Framework, the Standards for RTOs 2015, and the Australian Qualifications Framework AQF. There are many stakeholders in the vet sector that makes vocational education in Australia a large and complex industry, with stakeholders including governments, both federal and state, with state training authorities being responsible for vet public funding policies. We have industry, being industry regulators, and employers, both large and small. We have training product developers, including skill service organisations, the SSOs, and the industry reference committees, the IRCs. And of course, we have the registered training organisations, the RTOs. These are the organisations who bring it all together, delivering training to meet the needs of students and industry, delivering and assessing the training, and issuing the credentials. The focus on compliance is to ensure a quality student learning experience. The 5 key phases of the student-centred approach are marketing and recruitment, enrolment, support and progression of learners through their course, training and assessment, and completion, including the issuing of credentials and the record keeping. You can go to the ASQA website and download the User's Guide, which is a comprehensive guide to assist all RTOs to understand their obligations and always be ready for audit. The website is asqa.gov.au/standards. A national vet sector ensures that students' credentials, that's their skills and knowledge, are recognised throughout Australia. Mutual recognition, commonly known as credit transfer, is a very important aspect of the vet sector. This means that you can start a course with an RTO in Queensland, complete a number of units, and then move to an RTO in Victoria, enrol into the same course to complete the outstanding units. You don't need to complete the units that you have a statement of attainment for again. You will ask your training provider to provide you with credit transfer for these units. A national vet sector ensures consistency of skills within industry. Training packages provide the benchmarks for what jobs look like. Qualifications are made up of units of competency. These units are the standards for the typical jobs in the sector. Training packages are developed and maintained by skill service organisations under the direction of the Australian Industry and Skills Committee. The Australian Industry and Skills Committee endorse national training packages, ensuring that the needs of industry are met. Don't let the jargon get in the way of your learning. The vet sector is full of acronyms: VET, RTO, ASQA, NCVER, CRICOS, TNA, TAS, IRC, SSO, IP, NYC, just to name a few. The best advice is to download a glossary of vet terms and acronyms. Make sure you get the latest version, as there's many out-of-date glossaries on the internet. I recommend you go to voced.edu.au. This is where you will find not only the latest glossary for the vet sector, but also a huge range of resources that will help all trainers and assessors. When you work in the vet sector, you must be open to change. There's always a review happening on something, and there's always a training package that's undergoing change. Why? It's important to remember that the vet sector is responsible for ensuring that the Australian workforce is well trained and skilled both for our current world and into the future. Within the changing trends in industry and the skills demands from employers, then training providers must ensure that their courses are relevant and fit for purpose, that their trainers and assessors have the required skills and knowledge to be able to deliver the courses, and that their training products reflect current work trends. No one wants to be trained on redundant or outdated equipment or learn skills that are no longer relevant to the workplace. To ensure that you are training using the latest version of a training package or a unit of competency, it's important to understand the rules around version control. Training.gov.au holds the answers. Using the website training.gov.au, you can determine for any training package, qualification or unit of competency if that product is still current. Looking at the example here for BSB, the Business Services Training Package, we can see the usage recommendation is current. The release status is current, and the release date is the 28th of February 2020. The status throughout training.gov.au will be either current, superseded, or deleted. Whilst there are arrangements for transition of superseded to current units, you should always focus on delivering units that have a status of current. Your RTO compliance team will provide advice for you on the usage of your units. In addition to this, if you scroll down further, you will be able to see the training package developer. In this instance, it's Skills for Australia. You can visit the Skills for Australia website and read more about the latest changes to their training packages. We no longer have revision numbers within units of competency. We have release numbers, and these are also found on training.gov.au for all units. If we look at the example for the unit BSB WHS 201, you will see that the release number is release 1. If the unit is modified and the intent of the unit has not been changed, then a new release of the same unit will be published on training.gov.au. However, if the intent of the unit has changed, for instance the assessment requirements are different, then the old unit will become superseded and a new unit will be published with a new unit code and a new unit title. Always look at the mapping information of the unit summary to determine if the old unit is superseded and equivalent or superseded and not equivalent. Students may provide you with an academic transcript containing a superseded unit, and they would like to know if this can be used for credit transfer. You need to look at the mapping in the summary for the unit. If it says the unit has been superseded and is equivalent to, then the RTO can issue the student with a credit transfer. When you don't have equivalence, then the learner will need to complete gap training and assessment before they can gain the new unit. You can find additional information in the companion volumes for the unit. This will also give you a mapping of old units to new units. Throughout this course, you will learn about rules and principles that have an impact on compliance. What's the risk of not being compliant? Worst case scenario, an RTO is sanctioned by ASQA or the state regulator and potentially has their RTO registration removed. They can no longer enrol new students, nor can they train existing students. And the very worst case scenario, they must recall all credentials that have been issued. Nobody wants to be in that position, so pay attention, take the time to understand the standards for RTO's requirements, and always talk to your RTO compliance team. There are various policy reforms that are currently in progress. The Joyce review into VET, the training package reforms, the AQF review, all of these will have an impact on the way we work in VET. We all need to stay connected and stay informed. And always refer back to your RTO manager. Thanks for watching. Take the time to watch our Blueprint series of tutorials and whiteboard explainers. These will all help you with your course. And don't forget, we are here to help. Thank you.